Hey everyone, this is Louis7, and today I have a few important topics to share in regards to the beta for an upcoming update for The Lord of the Rings Online, and how they play to a bigger issue at large with player freedom. So this update 28.3 beta comes at a time that I am actually preparing for my next couple parts of my endgame and LOTRO series, and these parts I'm working on will actually focus on some issues with endgame and LOTRO that will only be made quite a bit worse in this update if the stuff in the beta actually does make it live. So I'm actually splitting this video into two parts, with this part focusing on the Legendary Item Grind with the update 28.3 beta, and the second part will focus on the reputation gating and changes coming in the beta, and I will also talk about the player freedom more in that part. For this video, I will cover a background on the Legendary Item Grind, then we will go over the update 28.3 beta notes, and then wrap it up with why I don't think these are good changes for us LOTRO players. So to give a little bit of context on the Legendary Item Grind, it really starts with Imbued LIs at level 100, and when you get level 100 you can imbue your LI, generally making it much more powerful, as you will keep the imbued LI with you for the rest of the game. And it really takes an insane amount of grinding to keep up with its power level as you level up. And just for a quick overview for the imbued LIs, you need Starlit Crystals to upgrade your primary legacy and main stats such as weapon DPS, tactical damage rating, healing rating, incoming healing, and things like that. And then you will need Scrolls of Empowerment to upgrade class legacies, which have different effects for different classes, and they really vary wildly in power level and usefulness. In all, for a freshly imbued legendary item, you need roughly 30 Starlit Crystals and over 200 Empowerment Scrolls per legendary item, keeping in mind that you use 2 LIs, and if you play another spec on your character, you will likely need additional LIs for that spec. And then on top of all of that, some classes and specs even need multiple imbued LIs themselves for active swapping in combat. And the only positive to really share here is that it is true some primary legacies aren't that useful. In fact, like the Guardian Belt primary for shield rank is 100% useless. It does not do anything. So they don't need any Starlit for that. But setting those type of scenarios aside, the point is in general you need a ton of stuff to boost your LIs to keep your character power up to par while adventuring in Middle Earth, above level 100, and especially at the level cap for endgame content. Now, there are a few various activities you can do to level your LIs up. Starting in Gondor, there are a few regions with daily quests offering currency for empowerment scrolls. A popular choice here is Minas Tirith dailies. You can also run epic battles, specifically retaking Pelargir, which has okay-ish at best drop rates for both scrolls and crystals. There's also the level 105 raid Throne of the Dreadtear with currency for both when run on tier 2. Additionally, there are Motes of Enchantment and Embers of Enchantment, which give you max tier scrolls and crystals, meaning they are only effective for so many legacies levels and then they won't work beyond that. Finally, there are festivals, which can very slowly get you some Starlit Crystals, and then is the Skirmish Camp, where you can get plain Amphalos Scrolls of Empowerment for marks and medallions. And oh yeah, there is also the Relic Master, where you can get scrolls for shards, but that is so insanely slow and unreliable that it's basically not even a method. But I hope you all see there are quite a few methods that in general on their own are slow or inefficient or only effective up to a certain point or things like that. And the grind is real and long and slow overall. New players are unlikely to know this, but it is something you should be preparing for when you are close to level 100. And to maximize efficiency and lessen the grind, you actually need to hoard certain types of scrolls and get ones that are only effective to a certain point first. And it's honestly just a huge complex mess. But the good news is there was supposedly an LI revamp in the works for last year that got delayed to this year, so there's that, and we can all wait for the long overdue revamp. But in the meantime, we have no band-aids or great catch-up mechanics or anything like that to lessen the grind while the revamp is in the works. And update 28.3, well, let's go over that now. Alright, we are at the patch notes here on the LOTRO website, and in the item section we have Scrolls of Empowerment from Rangers of Ithilien Quartermaster now cap at max tier 35. So that is for South Ithilien Osgiliath area with the max tier 35, but did you know that the minimum tier is actually something like 46? So these actually are completely ineffective, even if we look in game right here. You can see these are only usable on imbued legendary items, and the legacy max tier must be below 35, so these are actually 100% useless. That is, unless you are on a legendary server where they are only partially useful, but we'll get to that later. So that's also true for the Dol Amroth Quartermaster, those are max tier 35 as well, and then for Midas Tirith that is max tier 44. And then moving on, in the new region, War of Three Peaks, you have the March on Gundabad additional steps daily. That will give you 2 scrolls of empowerment, but they now have a max tier cap of 83. But that's already the max legacy cap, so that doesn't have too much of a change for us now. It'll just be impactful in the future. And the same thing for the War Effort Threats to the Battlefield. That'll also be a max tier cap of 83 with the 3 scrolls it gives. So as we saw, they are limiting what players can do to acquire their LI boost by having max tier limitations added to various popular sources. And just quickly, I want to say if there is a problem of people grinding old content for their level cap characters, that I think there is a problem with the system as a whole and the new content. Newer content should be more rewarding to promote players participating in it. And instead of getting scrolls from Minas Tirith dailies, they should get more scrolls per same amount of time in the newer content. That way people who want to do the old content because they enjoy it, they still can do that and they can actually walk away with a little bit of reward. But then people who want to more quickly get their LI leveled up and do the newest, most up-to-date content, they can do that newer content, which is more rewarding. And that would also help another issue because newer content being more rewarding than old content means newer content serves for a catch-up mechanic to help players more quickly get caught up to the new endgame or whatever it is they want to do, especially for newer players or newly leveled players who are getting towards the level cap but haven't participated in these previous grinds from the old level caps. That long-term players have been fortunate to be able to do that. But instead of that, what we have now in LOTRO is old content is more rewarding than new content, which does not make any sense. And because of that, players do old dailies instead of running the new stuff. And basically what I'm trying to say is I believe the issue isn't with the old stuff. Rather, it is with the new stuff not being rewarding enough on its own to encourage players to run it. And this is where the update begins to limit player freedom, and by that I mean LOTRO is an open world MMORPG with a ton of content and regions and activities where you can basically do whatever you want and have fun. It also means for the LI grind you have the options for different content you can run if you would like. There are missions, scaling instances, skirmish camp barter, the level 105 throwing the Dread Terror raid, and there's also lowish drop rates in the new instances, and there used to be Gondor dailies, which as I've mentioned many times were quite popular because they were somehow one of the better methods to obtain scrolls for players. The result of this change is it just means there's one less degree of freedom for players to do what they want given available resources in the game already. To me, in an ideal LOTRO world, the old content actually wouldn't have impact on the level cap, and new content would be sufficient without insane grind to level your LIs up, or optionally old content could actually be relevant, but less efficient, and as it has been for a few years now, still available as an option for the players to choose which activity they want to participate in. Also, as we'll see in my next part on the update 28.3 beta, the reputation change will also limit player freedom, which is a broader issue that seems to be becoming more and more relevant over time with updates. And we'll set that aside until the next video, and for this one in general with this update, it will increase the LI grind, especially for Scrolls of Empowerment at mid to high legacy tiers. And if I ask any LOTRO player if they think the grind is too easy or just too quick on that, they would think I'm crazy for just asking, because it is not. It is way too grindy already. And with this update, as we covered, you are now limited on how you can max your LIs out, in that you are more heavily encouraged to run the less efficient new content to upgrade your LI. And the other problem is the Gondor scrolls, that is those from Dol Amroth and South Athelion, are now 100% useless because they can only be used on imbued LIs that have a max tier that is lower than the lowest possible max tier on a freshly imbued LI, which I think with the latest updates that is now 46 it looks like. So you just simply cannot actually use those, and I have no idea why they would make it that way. And that is true unless you are on a legendary server, which is an exception, where they all are only briefly usable for a couple tiers. But that just causes more confusion to an already confusing system for a fringe scenario on servers that have a smaller player base and overall already have a server-wide legacy cap that fixes any potential legacy level issues anyway. And to top all of this off, with the issues we have covered here, you all want to know an easy way to boost your LI? Well, you can spend mithril coins, which is honestly really expensive. But as much as I hate to say this, I think this update, as it is right now in the beta, will make the LI system even more pay to skip the grind than it already is. And it does kind of make the update seem like a bit kind of cash grabby to me, especially in combination with the reputation changes that I'll go over in the next part. Now, I would like to offer some quick thoughts on how this change could be improved for the better. And first off, they could just not go through with it in the final update 28.3 build. That wouldn't be like ideal, but it wouldn't be worse than what it used to be. Or secondly, they could perhaps actually make new content give Scrolls of Empowerment so you don't have to worry about running the old content for an efficient way to level your LI up. I think this would be a more ideal solution, and for example, they could have the new instances drop scrolls more often. They could also add more barter options for scrolls in higher level regions, like for your Gundabad copper coins. They could even make more daily and weekly quests directly reward scrolls, and just all sorts of things like that to make the newer content more relevant and really make the new content a more up-to-date way to get your LI updated, oddly enough. And then the third and final option I want to present here is they could just do both to maximize player freedom and reward those doing the newest content. Alright, I have been rambling long enough for this video. I just really do believe it is an important issue for the game that will be made worse with the update 28.3 beta for the LI grind that has already driven so many players away from the game. Again, stay tuned for part 2, which I hope I can get done tomorrow, and that will be on the reputation changes and more on player freedom. The last thing is, this beta has some actually exciting changes coming, but they are just too overshadowed by these major negatives, which is quite unfortunate. Anyway, I hope you all have enjoyed this video and maybe learned something from it on the legendary items or update 28.3 or anything, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing for more, or becoming a channel member to support the content. And thanks for watching, everyone.